Jake Morrison felt cold metal against his back as his eyes opened. The world around him was dark and filled with red flashing lights. His body felt heavy and strange, like he had been sleeping for a very long time. He tried to remember where he was, and slowly it came back to him. The ship, the long journey, the cryo chambers. He sat up slowly and looked around. He was in a large room filled with hundreds of white pods. Most of them were still closed, but some were open and empty. The air smelled wrong, like burned electronics and something else he could not name. "Genesis," he called out to the ship's computer. His voice was rough and dry. "What is happening?" A calm female voice answered from speakers in the ceiling. "Captain Morrison, welcome back. I have been waiting for you to wake up. We have several problems that need your attention right away." Jake tried to stand, but his legs were weak. He held onto the side of his cryopod and waited for his strength to return. "How long was I asleep?" "Where are we?" "You have been in cryosleep for 312 years, Captain. We are approaching the Kepler 442b system. However, our arrival is not going as planned." Jake's mind became clearer as he listened. 300 years. Everyone he had known on Earth was dead now. The only people left alive were here on this ship, sleeping in these pods, or they were supposed to be. "How many people are awake?" he asked. 8,417 people have successfully awakened from cryosleep. The others? Genesis paused. The others did not survive the journey. Jake felt sick. They had started with 50,000 colonists. Families, scientists, engineers, farmers. All the people needed to build a new world. Now less than a fifth of them were left. He made his way through the corridors of the ship. Other people were moving around, all looking as confused and weak as he felt. Some were crying. Others just stared at nothing. Everyone was trying to understand what had happened to their friends and family who had not woken up. Jake found Dr. Lisa Carter in the medical bay. She was a tall woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had been the chief medical officer when they left Earth, and she still wore her white coat. "Lisa," Jake said, "tell me what happened." She looked up from a computer screen. "The cryosystems failed in many sections. Some people died right away. Others lived longer, but their bodies could not handle waking up. We lost so many, Jake. What about the ship? Are we still on course? That's another problem. Come with me." Lisa led him to the bridge where other crew members were working at control panels. Jake saw Ryan Brooks, the chief engineer, talking quickly with two other people. Ryan was a big man with strong hands who knew everything about the ship's systems. "Captain," Ryan said when he saw Jake, "we have big trouble. The fusion drives are damaged. We can't slow down properly and we can't change course." Jake looked at the main screen. It showed a yellow star ahead of them with several planets around it. One planet was marked in green. That was supposed to be their new home. "How long until we reach the planet?" Jake asked. 6 months, Ryan said. "But there's something else. Amy, show him what you found." Amy Rodriguez was sitting at the communications station. She was young, maybe 25 when they left Earth. Now she was technically over 300 years old. But she still looked young because of the cryosleep. "Captain, I've been listening to radio signals from the planet system," Amy said. "At first I thought it might be natural signals like from the star. But then I realized they're not natural. Someone is sending these signals. Someone intelligent." Jake stared at the screen. "Are you saying there are aliens on our planet?" "Not just on the planet. I'm picking up signals from at least 12 different sources in this system. Ships, stations, maybe cities. This place is full of life, and it's not human life." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone stared at the screen showing their destination. They had traveled for 300 years to reach a planet that was supposed to be empty. Instead, they were flying toward a system full of alien civilizations. "Can we talk to them?" Jake asked. Amy worked at her controls. "I've been trying. The signals are in some kind of mathematical code. Very complex. But 20 minutes ago, something changed. I started getting signals that looked like they were meant for us." "What do you mean?" "Someone out there knows we're coming, Captain. And they're trying to talk to us." Jake sat down in the captain's chair. His body was still weak from the long sleep, but his mind was working clearly now. They were damaged, low on people, and flying toward a system full of unknown aliens. They could not change course and they could not stop. "Genesis," he said, "give me a full report on our situation." "Yes, Captain. We have 8,417 people awake and healthy. Food supplies will last approximately 2 years. Water recycling is working normally. The fusion drives are at 30% power and cannot be repaired without parts we do not have. We will reach the Kepler 442b system in 6 months and 2 days. What about weapons? Our defensive systems are online but limited. We were built as a colony ship, not a warship. Jake looked around at his crew. These people had trusted him to lead them to a new world. Now he had to decide what to do next. They could not go back to Earth. They could not stop or turn away. All they could do was keep flying toward whatever was waiting for them. Amy, keep trying to make contact, he said. I want to know who these aliens are and what they want. Ryan, do everything you can to fix the drives. Even if you can only get us a little more power, it might make the difference between a safe landing and a crash. What about the colonists who are still asleep? Lisa asked. Jake thought about this. Wake them up. All of them. They deserve to know what's happening, and we're going to need everyone if we want to survive what comes next. As his crew went to work, Jake stared at the screen showing their destination. Somewhere out there, aliens were watching their approach. In 6 months, they would find out if those aliens were friends or enemies. Either way, humanity was about to make first contact with alien life, and Jake Morrison was going to have to lead his people through whatever came next. 3 weeks passed before the aliens finally answered their calls. Jake was on the bridge when Amy Rodriguez suddenly sat up straight at her station. Captain, I'm getting something, she said. It's different from the other signals. This one is in English. Jake moved quickly to stand behind her. English? Are you sure? Yes, sir. Listen to this. Amy played the recording through the bridge speakers. A voice spoke, but it did not sound human. The words were correct, but the tone was strange, like water flowing over rocks. Human vessel, this is Ambassador Zixathera of the Galactic Harmony Council. We have been expecting your arrival for many of your years. Please respond on this frequency. Jake looked at his crew. Everyone was staring at the speakers. After 300 years of traveling through empty space, aliens were talking to them in their own language. Amy, open a channel, Jake said. Channel open, Captain. Jake took a deep breath. He was about to become the first human to speak with an alien. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Horizon. We receive your message, Ambassador. We would like to establish peaceful contact. The answer came quickly. Captain Morrison, your arrival creates a difficult situation. The Galactic Harmony Council governs this region of space. We must discuss your future immediately. Prepare to receive our transmission. The main screen flickered and changed. The image that appeared made several crew members step backward. The alien was tall and thin, with blue-green skin that looked wet. It had large black eyes and no hair. When it spoke, Jake could see that it had no teeth, just smooth ridges in its mouth. Captain Morrison, I am Zixathera of the Veltai people. I speak for the Galactic Harmony Council, which includes 12 intelligent species in this part of the galaxy. We have maintained peace for over 2,000 of your years. That's wonderful, Jake said. We come in peace and hope to join your community. The alien's expression did not change, but something in its black eyes made Jake feel cold. That will not be possible, Captain. The Council has studied your species for many years. We have watched your wars, your violence, your destruction of your own planet. Humans are too dangerous to be allowed into galactic society. Jake felt anger building inside him, but he kept his voice calm. You've been watching us? For how long? For 3 centuries, since you first sent radio signals into space. We have seen enough to make our decision. The planet you call Kepler 442b has been prepared as a containment world. You will land there and remain there. You will not be allowed to leave or contact other worlds. Containment world? Jake said. You mean a prison? Call it what you wish. It is necessary for the safety of civilized species. Ben Taylor, the ship's military commander, stepped forward. Ben was a solid man with gray hair and scars on his hands from his years as a soldier. Captain, request permission to speak, Jake nodded. Go ahead, Commander. Ben looked directly at the alien on the screen. Ambassador, with respect, you don't know us as well as you think. Yes, we've had wars. Yes, we've made mistakes. But we've also saved each other, helped each other, died for each other. We're not the monsters you think we are. Zixathera tilted its head. Commander Taylor, we have observed your military records. You have personally killed 47 beings in combat. How do you explain this violence? Ben's face grew hard. I killed those people to protect others who couldn't protect themselves. Sometimes violence is necessary to stop greater violence. Sometimes good people have to fight to save innocent lives. This is exactly why humans cannot be trusted, the alien said. You always find reasons to justify violence. Civilized beings find other ways to solve problems. Dr. Lisa Carter moved to stand beside Ben. Ambassador, may I ask about your own species? How do you solve conflicts? The Veltai are a peaceful people. We have not engaged in warfare for over 1,500 years. When disputes arise, we discuss them until agreement is reached. All council species follow this path. What happens if someone refuses to agree? Lisa asked. The alien paused before answering. Such situations are rare. Most beings see the wisdom of cooperation. But what if they don't? Lisa pressed. Then, arrangements are made to separate the disruptive elements from society. Ben and Lisa looked at each other. Jake saw understanding pass between them. You mean you exile them or kill them, Ben said. We maintain order, Zixthera replied. This is different from your chaotic violence. Lisa stepped closer to the screen. Ambassador, I'm a doctor. I've spent my life saving people, not hurting them. But I have a question about your people. What is your gravity on your homeworld? The alien looked confused by the change of subject. Our gravity is 0.6 of what you call standard. Why do you ask? And your atmosphere? Temperature range? We require aquatic environments between 12 and 18 degrees in your measurement system. Our atmosphere must contain 31% oxygen, 23% nitrogen, and 46% water vapor. Again, why do you ask these questions? Lisa looked at Jake. Captain, their people are much more fragile than we are. The gravity on Kepler 442b is 1.2 times Earth normal. The temperature ranges from -30 to +45 degrees. They couldn't survive there for one day without protective suits. Jake understood what Lisa was telling him. The aliens were not just afraid of human violence. They were afraid of human capabilities. Ambassador, Jake said, you say we're dangerous because we fight. But maybe you're afraid because we're strong enough to survive in places where you cannot. Your physical abilities are irrelevant, Zixthara said, but its voice sounded less certain than before. Navigator Kate Sullivan had been quiet until now. Kate was a small woman with quick eyes who understood numbers and distances better than anyone on the ship. She looked up from her station. Captain, I've been analyzing the orbital patterns in this system. The Council has built massive defense platforms around Kepler 442b. Enough firepower to destroy our ship 10 times over. They're not just planning to imprison us on that planet. They're planning to make sure we never leave. Jake felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders. The aliens had made their decision about humanity before the horizon had even arrived. They would force the humans to land on a planet that was designed to be their prison. The question now was what Jake and his people would do about it. Ambassador Zixthera, Jake said, we appreciate your position. However, our ship is damaged and we cannot change course. We will be landing on Kepler 442b whether you approve or not. The only question is whether we crash there or land safely. The alien was quiet for a long moment. Captain Morrison, do not mistake our preference for peace as weakness. The Council has the power to destroy your ship before you reach the planet. Perhaps, Jake said. But then you would be murderers instead of peacekeepers. Is that the legacy you want for your Council? For the first time, the alien looked uncertain. This transmission is ended. Prepare for your arrival at the containment world. The screen went dark. Jake looked around at his crew. They all had the same expression on their faces. Fear, anger, and determination mixed together. Well, Jake said, now we know where we stand. The question is, what are we going to do about it? The next 5 months were the hardest of Jake's life. Every day brought them closer to Kepler 442b, and every day brought new problems. The ship was falling apart around them. The fusion drives were getting weaker, and Ryan Brooks worked 18 hours a day trying to keep them running. Captain, Ryan said during one of their daily meetings, I need to tell you the truth. The Horizon was never meant to land on a planet. She's a deep spaceship, built to travel between stars. When we get to Kepler 442b, we're going to have to break her apart. Jake felt sick. The Horizon had been humanity's home for 300 years. What do you mean? The ship has 5 main habitat sections, Ryan explained. Each one can separate from the others. If we're lucky, we can get 3 or 4 of them down to the planet's surface in one piece. The rest will burn up in the atmosphere. Dr. Lisa Carter looked up from her medical reports. How many people can we save? If everything goes perfectly, maybe 7,000. If things go badly, Ryan shrugged, maybe half that. Jake closed his eyes. He had lost 40,000 people during the journey. Now he might lose thousands more during the landing. What do we need to do? We start separating people into the different sections now, Ryan said. Put our best people in charge of each group. Make sure each section has doctors, engineers, farmers, everything they need to survive on their own. Over the next weeks, Jake divided his people into 5 groups. He would lead the command section, which they decided to call New Boston. Dr. Carter would take the medical section and build a place called Haven. Ryan would lead the engineering section to a place they named Ironworks. The other 2 sections would be led by Kate Sullivan and Ben Taylor. As they got closer to the planet, they learned more about their new home. It was bigger than Earth with stronger gravity. The air was breathable but thinner. There were oceans and continents, forests and deserts. There were also things that worried them. "Captain," Amy Rodriguez said one morning, "I'm picking up some strange readings from the planet's surface. There are large life forms down there. Really large." Jake looked at the data on her screen. "How large?" "Some of them are bigger than our ship, sir. And they're moving." Ben Taylor laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Giant monsters." "Of course there are giant monsters. Why would anything be easy?" Kate Sullivan was studying the orbital data. "There's something else, Captain. The Council has built a ring of defense platforms around the planet. Weapons, shields, communication arrays. They're not just planning to keep us on the planet. They're planning to watch everything we do." "Let them watch," Jake said. "We'll show them what humans can really do." The day of landing came too soon. Jake stood on the bridge and watched through the main screen as Kepler 442b grew larger and larger. It was a beautiful world, with blue oceans and green continents. It looked peaceful from space, but Jake knew that was an illusion. "All sections, this is the captain," he said over the ship's communication system. "Today we leave the horizon and start our new lives. I won't lie to you. It's going to be dangerous and difficult. Some of us might not survive. But we are humans, and humans don't give up. We adapt, we overcome, we survive. Today we prove that to ourselves and to the galaxy." Ryan's voice came over the radio. "Separation in 30 seconds, Captain." "Everyone hold on." Jake felt the ship shake as explosive bolts fired and the habitat sections separated from each other. Through the screen, he could see the other sections falling toward the planet like burning stars. The entry into the atmosphere was violent. The section shook and spun as it fell through the thick air. Jake was thrown against his chair, and he could hear people screaming in the corridors. Emergency lights flashed red and the smell of smoke filled the air. "Parachutes deploying," called out the pilot. "Landing thrusters firing." "Impact in 10 seconds. The crash was loud and hard, but they survived." Jake picked himself up off the floor and looked around. Most of his people were hurt but alive. Through the windows, he could see they had landed in a field of tall grass near a forest. "Amy, try to contact the other sections," he said. Amy worked at her damaged controls. "I'm getting signals from 3 sections, Captain. Ryan's group landed about 50 kilometers north of us. Lisa's group is 40 kilometers east. I can't reach Kate or Ben." Jake's heart sank. 2 sections were missing. That meant at least 3,000 people might be dead. "Sir," Amy said, "I'm also picking up signals from Council observation drones. They're already watching us." Jake looked out the window at the alien sky. The sun was larger than Earth's sun and had a yellowish color. 2 small moons were visible in the daylight. In the distance, he could see mountains and what looked like strange rock formations. "All right, people," Jake said. "This is our new home. Let's get to work." The first few days were chaos. People were hurt, scared, and angry. They had to clear debris from the crashed section and set up temporary shelters. They had to find water and figure out which plants were safe to eat. They had to defend themselves against the planet's dangerous wildlife. Alex Parker was a Marine sergeant who had been sleeping in Cryo when they left Earth. Now, he was their main defense against the creatures that lived on Kepler 442b. The first attack came on their 3rd day. "Contact," Alex shouted as something big crashed through the trees near their camp. It looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, with 6 legs and teeth as long as Jake's hand. It was fast and angry and heading straight for a group of children. Alex had only a pistol and a knife, but he did not hesitate. He ran toward the creature, shooting at its head. The bullet slowed it down but did not stop it. Alex jumped on its back and drove his knife between its shoulder blades. The creature rolled and tried to throw him off, but Alex held on until it finally died. "Well," Alex said as he climbed off the dead animal, "dinner's going to be interesting tonight." Jenny Foster was an agricultural specialist who had volunteered for the colony mission because she wanted to grow things on new worlds. Now she had to figure out how to grow earth crops in alien soil. She spent her days testing the dirt, planting seeds and trying to understand how the strange plants around them worked. "Captain," she said after a week of experiments, "I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that most of our earth seeds won't grow in this soil. The good news is that some of the local plants are edible, and I think I can figure out how to cultivate them." Every day brought new challenges. The weather was unpredictable, with sudden storms that could knock down trees. The gravity was stronger than Earth, making everyone tired faster. Some of the local animals were dangerous, while others were just strange. But something amazing happened. Instead of giving up, the humans adapted. They learned to work with the planet instead of against it. They built shelters that could withstand the storms. They found ways to hunt the dangerous animals and tame the harmless ones. They discovered which plants were useful and which ones to avoid. After a month, Jake received a radio call from Ryan Brooks at Ironworks. "Captain, you need to see what we've built here," Ryan said. "We've figured out how to refine the local metals. The stuff we're making is stronger than anything we had on Earth." A few days later, Lisa Carter called from Haven. "Jake, we've made contact with some local animals. They're intelligent, not like humans, but smart enough to learn simple tasks. We're training them to help us with farming." Jake smiled as he listened to the reports. The Council had expected humans to struggle and die on this planet. Instead, they were thriving. But he knew the aliens were watching everything through their drones. Soon they would have to decide what to do about the humans who refused to stay defeated. 2 months after landing, Jake was proved right. Amy Rodriguez picked up new signals from orbit. "Captain, there's a council ship approaching the planet." "It's sending a message," Jake sighed. "Let me guess. They want to talk, yes, sir. And, Captain, the message doesn't sound friendly." 2 years had passed since the humans landed on Kepler 442b. What had started as scattered crash sites had become thriving settlements. Jake stood on a hill overlooking New Boston and could hardly believe what he saw. The humans had built houses, farms, workshops, and even a small factory. Smoke rose from chimneys, and he could hear the sounds of children playing and people working. "Captain," Amy Rodriguez said, walking up behind him, "we're getting another transmission from the Council. This one's different. They sound worried." Jake followed Amy back to their communications center. It was much better than the emergency setup they had started with. Tony Clark, their metallurgist, had figured out how to refine the planet's unique minerals into metals that were stronger and lighter than anything they had known on Earth. Everything they built now was better than what they had lost in the crash. The message was from Ambassador Zix Thera. But the alien looked different than before. Its blue-green skin seemed paler, and its large black eyes darted around nervously. "Captain Morrison, the Galactic Harmony Council is concerned about your activities on the containment world. Our observations show that you are expanding beyond the approved settlement zones. This must stop immediately." Jake activated the transmission system. "Ambassador, we are simply trying to survive and build homes for our people. We have not attacked anyone or threatened anyone. What exactly is your concern?" "Your people are adapting too quickly," Zix Thera said. "This planet was chosen because its conditions should have limited your expansion. Instead, you are thriving in environments that would kill most civilized species." Before Jake could answer, another voice came through the speakers. "Captain Morrison, this is Dr. Velnara of the Zephyrian Science Council. I'm requesting immediate assistance." Jake looked at Amy, who shrugged. This was not part of the planned conversation with Zix Thera. "Dr. Velnara, what kind of assistance do you need?" "Our research station on the fourth moon is in critical condition. A solar storm has damaged our environmental systems. My team of 12 researchers will die within 6 hours if we cannot repair the damage. However, the radiation levels are too high for any council species to work outside their protective suits, and our suits cannot function in these conditions." Jake felt the eyes of his crew on him. He knew what they were thinking. The council had imprisoned them on this planet and told them they were too dangerous for civilized society. Now they were asking for help. "Dr. Velnara, are you requesting that humans assist with this repair?" "Yes. Your people routinely work in radiation levels that would kill us. What you consider normal environmental conditions are extreme survival situations for us. We need your help." Zix Thera's voice cut in angrily. Dr. Velnara, you do not have authorization to request human assistance. The containment protocols strictly forbid. The containment protocols do not override my responsibility to save lives, the Zephyrian scientist interrupted. If the Council wishes to let my people die to maintain their political positions, that is their choice. I am asking Captain Morrison for help. Jake looked around at his crew. Ben Taylor nodded. Lisa Carter smiled. Ryan Brooks was already moving toward his equipment. Dr. Velnara, we will help you. Ryan, how quickly can we get a repair team to the fourth moon? Give me 2 hours to prep a shuttle, Ryan said. The radiation won't be a problem for us, and I've got the tools we'll need. Within hours, Ryan Brooks was leading a team of human engineers to the Zephyrian research station. Jake listened to their radio reports as they worked in conditions that would have killed any Council species within minutes. Captain, this is Ryan. We're at the station now. The damage is pretty bad, but nothing we can't fix. The Zephyrians are watching us through their viewports. I don't think they've ever seen anyone work in this environment without protective suits. 6 hours later, the research station was fully operational. The Zephyrian scientists were safe, and they had witnessed something that would change everything. Captain Morrison, Dr. Velnara said over the radio, I must thank you. Your people have saved 12 lives today, but more than that, you have shown us something we had not understood. The Council told us that humans were dangerous because of your capacity for violence. They did not tell us about your capacity for sacrifice. Word of the rescue spread quickly through Council space. Within days, Jake was receiving messages from other species requesting human assistance with problems they could not solve themselves. A crystalline mining operation was trapped in a collapsed tunnel on a high-gravity world. An aquatic Veltai colony needed help with repairs in water too cold for their people to survive. Each time, Jake sent human volunteers. Each time, they succeeded where Council technology had failed. Each time, more species began to question why humans were considered too dangerous for galactic society. The breaking point came when miners Pete Harris and Maria Lopez prevented a disaster that would have destroyed the Council's most important research facility. The facility was built on an asteroid that orbited close to the system's star. When a large asteroid was detected on a collision course, the Council's best scientists calculated that there was no way to stop it. Pete and Maria were working on a mining operation on a nearby asteroid when they heard about the problem. Without waiting for orders, they took their modified construction equipment and flew to intercept the incoming asteroid. Captain, Pete's voice crackled over the radio. We're going to try to break this thing apart before it hits the research station. The blast might kill us, but it's better than letting thousands of Council scientists die. Jake watched on the main screen as the two humans flew their small ship directly toward an asteroid the size of a mountain. They planted explosive charges at key points and then pushed their ship's engines to maximum power to get away before the charges detonated. The explosion lit up space like a new star. When the light faded, the asteroid was broken into thousands of pieces that scattered harmlessly away from the research facility. Pete and Maria survived, but their ship was badly damaged. Council rescue ships picked them up and brought them to the research facility for medical treatment. When they arrived, something unprecedented happened. The Council scientists, representing 5 different species, stood and applauded. Sam Wright, who had been monitoring Council communications, brought Jake a recording of the conversation that followed. These humans risked their lives to save us, said a Zephyrian scientist. They did not ask for payment or recognition. They simply saw people in danger and acted to help them. The Council has told us that humans are violent and dangerous, added a crystalline researcher. But what we have seen is courage and selflessness. Perhaps we have been wrong about them. A Veltai diplomat spoke next. For 2,000 years we have maintained peace by avoiding conflict. But avoiding conflict is not the same as choosing to help others. These humans chose to help us when they could have simply watched us die. Jake turned off the recording and looked out the window at his thriving settlement. In the distance, he could see the other human colonies. Haven had become a center of learning where humans and local animals worked together. Ironworks was producing metals and tools that were better than anything the Council had ever seen. The settlements that Ben Taylor and Kate Sullivan had built were exploring new parts of the planet and making discoveries every day. Amy, Jake said, are you still monitoring Council communications? Yes, Captain. And there's something you should know. 3 species have formally requested that the Council reconsider the human containment policy. They're calling for a full vote, Jake smiled. The council had thought they were protecting the galaxy from dangerous humans. Instead, they had created a situation where humans could prove what they really were, not monsters to be feared, but people willing to risk everything to help others. Keep monitoring, Jake said. I have a feeling things are about to get very interesting. The message arrived on a quiet morning while Jake was having coffee and watching the sunrise over New Boston. Amy Rodriguez burst into his office with excitement in her eyes. Captain, you need to see this. We just received an official communication from the Galactic Harmony Council. They're inviting you to address them directly. Jake nearly dropped his coffee cup. They want me to speak to the council? The same council that locked us on this planet 2 years ago? Yes, sir. But there's more. Sam Wright has been monitoring their internal communications. The council is in chaos. 7 of the 12 member species are demanding a vote to end our containment. The others are fighting to keep us locked up. They've never had a debate like this before. Jake set down his cup and looked out the window. In the distance, he could see human children playing with some of the local animals that Jenny Foster had domesticated. The sight made him think about the future he wanted for these children. When do they want me there? He asked. 3 days, Captain. They're sending a ship to pick you up. Jake spent those 3 days choosing who would come with him. He selected Dr. Lisa Carter because she understood both medicine and diplomacy. Ryan Brooks would come because his engineering work had impressed even the council scientists. Sergeant Alex Parker would represent the military side of humanity, and Jenny Foster would show how humans worked with nature instead of against it. The council's ship was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. It was built like a crystal, all smooth curves and transparent walls. The alien crew were crystalline beings who looked like living gemstones. They spoke in musical tones that their computers translated into English. Welcome aboard, Captain Morrison, said the ship's commander. We have heard much about human achievements. Many of our people are curious to meet you. The journey to the council station took 2 days. Jake used the time to prepare his speech and to learn more about the 12 species that made up the council. He discovered that most of them had never experienced real conflict or struggle. They had achieved peace by creating a society where everyone agreed on everything. Anyone who disagreed was quietly removed. The council station was enormous, bigger than any city Jake had ever seen. It floated in space between the orbits of 2 planets, held in place by technology Jake could not understand. As their ship approached, Jake could see thousands of other ships from dozens of different species. Captain, Lisa said as they looked out at the station, I've been thinking about what you should say to them. These people have lived in safety for so long that they've forgotten what courage looks like. When they see it in us, it scares them. What do you suggest? Jake asked. Don't apologize for what we are, Lisa said. Don't promise to change. Show them who we really are and let them decide if that's something they want in their galaxy. The council chamber was a massive dome filled with representatives from 12 different species. Jake had studied pictures of them, but seeing them in person was overwhelming. The Veltai floated in tanks of water. The crystalline beings reflected light from their faceted surfaces. The Zephyrians looked like birds made of silver and gold. Each species was beautiful and alien in its own way. At the center of the dome was a platform where Jake and his team would speak. Around them in rising circles sat the council members. Jake estimated there were over 1,000 beings watching him. Ambassador Zixthera called the session to order. Representatives of the Galactic Harmony Council, we gather today to address the question of the human containment. Captain Jake Morrison of the human species will speak first. Jake walked to the center of the platform. The chamber became completely silent. He looked around at all the alien faces watching him and took a deep breath. Members of the council, he began. 2 years ago, you told us that humans were too dangerous for galactic society. You said we were violent, unpredictable, and destructive. You locked us on a planet and told us to stay there forever. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Some aliens nodded in agreement. Others looked uncomfortable. You were right about some things, Jake continued. We are violent when we need to be. We fight when fighting is necessary to protect innocent people. We take risks that seem crazy to others. We refuse to accept that problems cannot be solved. He paused and looked directly at Zixthera. But you were wrong about the most important thing. You thought these qualities made us dangerous to you. The truth is, these qualities make us valuable to you. Jake gestured to his team. Dr. Carter has saved lives using techniques that no council species would attempt, because they were too risky. Engineer Brooks has built things that your best scientists said were impossible. Sergeant Parker has fought creatures that would terrify your bravest warriors. Specialist Foster has learned to work with life forms that your people avoided because they seemed too dangerous. The chamber was completely quiet now. Every alien was listening. You have achieved peace by making everyone the same, Jake said. You have avoided conflict by removing anyone who disagreed with you. But peace without courage is not really peace. It's just the absence of challenge. A Zephyrian representative stood up. Captain Morrison, do you claim that conflict is beneficial? That violence serves a useful purpose? Jake nodded. I claim that the willingness to face conflict, to risk danger for others, to fight when fighting is necessary, these things are what make peace meaningful. A peace that cannot defend itself is not peace. It's surrender waiting to happen. Another alien, one of the crystalline beings, spoke in musical tones. Captain, your people saved our research teams when we could not save ourselves. But this does not change the fact that humans are inherently violent. How do we know you will not turn this violence against us? This was the question Jake had been expecting. Because violence without purpose is just destruction. We fight to protect, not to conquer. We take risks to save others, not to gain power for ourselves. The same courage that makes us dangerous to our enemies makes us loyal to our friends. Dr. Carter stepped forward. May I speak, Captain? Jake nodded. Lisa looked around the chamber and spoke in her calm, clear voice. I am a doctor. I have spent my life healing people and saving lives. But I have also seen what happens when good people are not willing to fight evil people. I have seen what happens when peaceful societies encounter those who do not value peace. She paused and looked directly at the council members. Your peace has lasted for 2,000 years because you have been lucky. You have not encountered anyone who wanted to take what you have built. But luck does not last forever. When that day comes, you will need people who are willing to fight for what is right. You will need humans. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Species that had been allies for centuries argued with each other. Some demanded that humans be given full membership in the council immediately. Others insisted that the containment policy be maintained forever. Jake listened to the arguments and realized something important. The council was not really debating whether humans were dangerous. They were debating whether they wanted to remain safe and weak or become strong enough to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. Finally, the time came for the vote. Each species would choose whether to end the human containment or maintain it. Jake stood with his team and watched as the representatives made their decisions. The Zephyrians voted first. We vote to end the containment. Humans have proven their value. The crystalline beings were next. We vote to end the containment. We choose strength over safety. One by one, the species cast their votes. Some voted to free humanity. Others voted to keep them locked away. As the count continued, Jake realized it was going to be close. The final vote came from a species Jake had not expected. The Veltai, Ambassador Zixthara's own people, had been silent through most of the debate. Now their representative stood up. The Veltai have always valued peace above all else, the representative said. But we have learned that peace without courage is merely the calm before the storm. We vote to end the human containment and invite them to join the council as full members. The final count was 7 species in favor of ending the containment, 5 against. Humanity was free. Ambassador Zixthara stood up slowly. Jake could see that the alien was struggling with the decision. Captain Morrison, Zixthara said, the council has voted. The human containment is officially ended. You and your people are invited to join galactic society as equals. The chamber erupted in sounds that Jake assumed were applause, though each species expressed approval differently. The crystalline beings chimed like bells. The Zephyrians sang in their musical voices. Even some of the Veltai made pleased bubbling sounds. Jake stepped forward to address the council one last time. Members of the council, humanity accepts your invitation, but we want you to understand something. We are not asking you to become like us. We are offering to stand beside you as we all work together to build something better than any of us could build alone. As Jake and his team prepared to leave the station, Dr. Carter pulled him aside. Jake, do you realize what just happened here? This council has maintained the same government, the same policies, the same way of thinking for 2,000 years. In one day, we changed everything. Jake looked back at the council chamber where aliens from 12